Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Sorry for the Twitter glitch. That's happened to me 3 times on different Twitter spaces in the last couple of weeks. So Elon's got to pull his finger out. Thanks for joining. I know you guys are all busy and all distributed all over the world. So what's been happening? A lot of exciting stuff. I think the real world asset narrative is really coming strong. It's being seen as one of the strongest narratives in the next bull market, which I think has begun. So that's very exciting. There are a lot of new projects, so it's very funny seeing a lot of these new projects. A lot of them do need licenses and a lot of the infrastructure that IXSwap has built, even though they don't say they are or it's not written anywhere. So there's always in these beginnings of these new movements, the RWA is the new term for STOs. And there's always people who try and jump in and try and grab money and get things off the ground and don't really do things properly. So that's the nature of the beast. That's going to play as an advantage for us when as the market gets a little bit more mature, and then people are looking for groups that have been building the tech and also doing it, getting the necessary licenses. But also, I think more exciting, more important is the fact that we can actually help all these projects. So, the original model, the beginning and the first model, or the product, if you will, on IXSwap was the liquidity pools for secondary trading. So we've had no less than 5 or 6 groups from the RWA world reach out to us this week and say, how do we get secondary liquidity? So they're already, even though a lot of these projects are brand new and even though some of them have just begun, they're already being asked for secondary liquidity and where can we trade and how does this work? So again, very, very good for us, and we can help, and we'd like to help all these projects. So the interesting position, or I suppose the position of the platform, has always been infrastructure that everyone can use to create liquidity pools. So all these new RWA projects is fantastic. It just brings more potential products and pools to IXSwap instead of us, having to go out there and find them all. So all of that's extremely bullish. We've been able to. The other things that we've been doing since the last AMA, we've been super busy. We've been in Thailand, we've been in Hong Kong for the FinTech Week, we've been in Korea for the STO Summit in Korea. They still call it STOs. The first one where the whole market there is getting super bullish. So we love Korea. We've signed a bunch of partnerships. There's some really interesting K content that we're looking to tokenize. IP rights, music rights, royalties, movies, songs, and the Korean market is loving us, and the fact that we've been, at it for quite some time already. They're looking at clarifying all the rules around STOs in Korea early next year, and there's something like 250 finance companies that have applied for licenses to issue security tokens. But either way, we're seen as highly collaborative and synergistic to a lot of these different projects. So we're super bullish on Korea. I've been writing a lot about that, actually. I'm actually going to start to learn a little bit of Korean, because I plan on going up there a lot. I think some of the team does as well. And it was the same when we went just through Hong Kong, which Hong Kong became very bullish on digital assets in this year, really, in terms of crypto. And then we did an event on November 5th, I think, and on November 4th at night, the regulators in Hong Kong announced positive regulation for STOs and RWA. So Hong Kong's now coming alive, and Korea is about to come alive as well. So 2 hugely important markets for me is really exciting, because I think Asia's going to be one of the dominating markets for both issuance and trading for kind of STOs and good quality products. So we're now starting to see a lot of momentum in you've got the TradFi guys like obviously BlackRock and Fidelity and Franklin Templeton. They're all pushing products, real world asset tokens out, tokenized treasuries, tokenized money market funds, and tokenized public trade assets. So that's on that side of the market. And then we have a lot of the crypto guys and the DeFi guys. They're launching these real world asset projects. Most of them are securities, some of them aren't. And I think it's important to think that a lot of these projects can issue themselves. It's perfectly fine to issue your own equity, but then as soon as you move to a secondary trading venue, then the whole world changes. So it's good to see a lot of these projects getting off the ground, and that's fine. But then again, it's already started. A lot of them are trying to work out, because their investors are asking them, where's the secondary trading, where's liquidity? So, I think what we also want to do is we push out the platform now to try to keep a distinction between us and many RWA projects. There's a lot of different projects out there. A lot of the people on Twitter have no idea what they're talking about. Some of the projects are protocols. Some of them are products like treasury bills. Some of them are lending, private credit type products. Some of them are infrastructure plays. There's a lot of different groups, but everyone's getting excited and also confused about what the difference is. But so we want to, I think, go back to the roots of what the platform is and position ourselves as the Uniswap for RWA. We originally were the tagline was the Uniswap for STOs, but obviously now the name's changed, at least in the crypto space. So the Uniswap for RWA, then it also moves to explain and give the positioning to anyone who looks at the platform that every RWA can use it. So we're not in competition with anyone. We're actually here to help everyone. And then we hopefully will be a much bigger platform as it grows. A couple of other really exciting things that have happened is a lot of the crypto market makers have now starting to have conversations with us, and they want to work out how they can market make RWA, which is essentially the pools of IXSwap. So this is a new evolution as well. A lot of those market makers were actually TradFi guys. That's how they know how to make markets, because market making in TradFi existed way before market making in crypto. So a lot of those groups, and I'm not going to name names, but one of them who we spoke to just last week said, if we think that our market making business is global and it's big, if we consider that a 1 out of 10, we think that market making for RWA will be a 10 out of 10 or a 20 out of 10. So, and that should be true because there's way more real world assets than there are crypto, and there always will be. That over time there'll always be way more real world assets than there are crypto. So the market potential, the total addressable market, the size of this is for IXSwap is essentially multiple times bigger than the Uniswap market, which is massive in its own right, but can only do crypto. And Uniswap has historically actually tried to do real world asset security tokens, and they had to pull them down because they don't have any of the licensing. And one thing that's also very powerful about the positioning we have right now is that in the world of assets and trading globally, most of the assets, you can only, stocks trade in one place and Forex trades in another, and commodities and crypto, right? Crypto only trades on crypto. You don't find any other assets on Binance or Coinbase. So what it means is all these big crypto groups, they need to partner up with groups like IXSwap who've got the tech and the licenses and the infrastructure, or they can't get into that space. Very few of them are going to be able to get securities licenses. It's hard enough for them to get crypto licenses. And if they just pop out and say, we want a securities license, the last thing that's going to happen, what is not going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years is that they're just going to be able to start listing RWA on their platform. So again, we've had 2 or 3 big exchanges come to us. They want to launch RWA. They can't do it themselves. And we've kicked off those discussions as well, which is really exciting and healthy. So I think we've come to a bit of an inflection point with the actual concept of real world asset and security tokens, that it's this enormous use case. It always was there. Our team believed in it many years ago, but now both the TradFi and the DeFi sides have actually worked it out that, and the reason that, and just for information, it's even, I say it for laughs, but most of the DeFi world only knows about real world asset tokens because when the DeFi melted down and there was no yields in crypto because 3AC blew up and Luna and everyone was sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars of crypto and stable coins, and there was no way to make any yield. There was no return. And then people started tokenizing treasury bills, and then the guys holding the stable coins went, I can put my stable coins over there and make 6% yield. That sounds great. I can stay in crypto. I don't need to go to fiat. Then let's buy that. What else have you got? And overnight, almost, the crypto guys who used to hate security tokens because I don't know why they did, but they just did. It's different from crypto. We use the same underlying infrastructure, but the assets are very different. They renamed the industry from security tokens to real world asset tokens. So the one asset they started buying was treasury bills, US dollar treasury bills, which I think is still very funny because they didn't even want to go into cash. They wanted to stay in crypto. It doesn't really matter how they got here, but that's how they did get here. And now we have this world where all the DeFi guys and in the crypto side of things, if you will, is pushing hard on more products launching and how all this goes out. So all of that is being extremely positive, I think, for us. So now we are, continuing working on. Well, actually, the last thing I wanted to say, and I'll throw it over to Aaron because he can give a whole bunch of updates because he's been working on same in different elements. One of the things that has happened with this, recent, call it boom in RWA, is that all these projects are trying to launch, and again, no one's got any licenses. So we have spoken to so many groups, and they all want to use their own technology, and it becomes very, very complicated. And we'll actually put a thought piece out next week that the legal team's been working on about the different types of licensing, different models in the world, and how do you launch with or without a license, and what are the choices. But essentially, what that meant is we put together the IXS RWA Accelerator. And so what is that? That's a way that we can help brand new RWA projects launch their products super fast and super low cost, and do it today. So if you contemplate someone who wanted to do it properly and get their own licenses, it would take them a couple of years. They're not meant to do any business during that time. They're probably going to wait around. By the time they launch, it'll be 2 or 3 years over. We might be back in a bear market again. So at IXSwap now, we have the tech, we've got the licenses, we've got smart contracts, we've got audited, we've got a community, and we can help people launch extremely quickly. So we can rapidly reduce their time to market, literally by years. We can rapidly reduce their cost to launch by hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we're going to pick and choose the best ones, and then bring our VC, our venture capital network, to help fund them at the start, and then also bring them to the community so they can buy in them. So the IXS RWA Accelerator is the latest product that we're bringing out to get to the very beginning and the genesis of these projects, where we can help them from day one. So they're structured properly. They've got secondary trading in view from day one. They're legal, they're compliant. Investors can approach them, and everyone can invest. Retail investors can invest with $1 shares. So this is super exciting. We're going to partner up. I'm not going to name any names. We're looking to partner up with one of the big protocols and push that out together, although we've just made some announcements because we don't wait around for anyone. And that's one of the latest things going on. We also have some serious, well, I'll let Aaron maybe talk about that, but we've got some serious marketing plans coming into play over the next 6 months for the tokens. So Aaron, that's enough from me. I'll pass it over to you.
Hey guys, yeah, maybe I'll just touch a little bit on the accelerator program as well. That program itself is really to assist any other RWA protocols actually launch their projects. I don't think a lot of these guys have realized that it takes years and years to get any of these licenses to operate a STO or RWA type of marketplace and exchange. A lot of them can actually issue these assets on their own, but they can't actually operate a marketplace. So what we want to provide them is the infrastructure and the licenses that have taken us years to get to start launching their platforms. And then in turn, what we actually get in return is their communities and their assets being listed across all our ecosystems as well. With regards to the listings, I think someone asked that questions. We won't be launching any more launchpad pools to the end of the year. It's getting to the end of the year. Generally towards the end of the year, everyone goes on holidays. No one wants to fund any deals. So we're going to hold off until Q1 next year. There are a bunch of deals coming down the pipeline already. And I think next year what we're going to be doing is that we're just going to be launching subsequent deals every 2 weeks to a month, instead of waiting for the deals to fill up, because it's taken quite a while for, I guess, the existing pools to fill up. Maybe there's not enough interest for that particular assets. But going forward, what we're going to do is that we're just going to put a whole bunch of deals out into the platform so that any investors that come to the platform can pick and choose the different asset classes that they want to invest into. Now, the assets that we are going to be focusing on in Q1 next year is going to be a lot of these Korean assets that we've been gathering as well over the last couple of weeks and months. We have a music IP deal coming down the pipeline, and that's really allowing investors to invest into a K-pop artist and receive royalties in return. Another deal that's coming down the pipeline is also a tokenized wine deal and a tokenized whiskey deal coming from a group out of Korea as well. And then I'm working on another launchpad deal potentially with a bunch of other platforms as well to launch Korean IP assets for TV shows and movies. So this is going to be a diversified portfolio instead of just one independent movie. And a lot of this is going to be movie financing with an upside participation in the equity as well. So those are the assets that we're going to be looking to launch next year. I mean, there's a bunch of other assets as well that have applied through Launchpad already that we are already assessing and doing the due diligence on. These will all come onto the platform in Q1 next year. With regards to the marketing, we've been putting a lot of effort into marketing on the Filipino side of things. We are looking at a listing at one of the Filipino exchanges in Q1 next year. So that's going to be one of our major pushes in Q1. We're probably going to go down on the ground as well to host another tokenization event similar to what we've done in Korea, Hong Kong as well. On top of that, I guess there was also another question on the market making for the platform. We we know that there have been liquidity issues on BTSE. We are at the final stages already of signing on a market maker, and we should have one live by the end of this week, latest by tomorrow, latest by end of the week. So that's coming on pretty soon as well. Let me see. You want to give any updates on the funding, Jules?
Well, all I would say today is that we are raising some new capital and we have some very high quality investors committed. We'll make that announcement a little bit later. There's still a bit of work to do there on closing out the round, but it's looking, it's looking really exciting. Won't be naming any names there, and I think ultimately on that exchange stuff, we've been given the runaround by some not so nice exchanges and market makers in the crypto space, which is unfortunately very normal. But I think we've realigned ourselves with some really good groups, and I'm excited to see a couple of really good exchange listings next year as well. And we've got a lot of exciting marketing plans for the next 6 months and beyond, related to driving users to the platform, getting new products up, and obviously driving more and more use case for IXS, which is one of our number one goals. And it's going to be exciting 2024.
Yeah, just want to add on to the listing as well. The listings as well. We're looking to list on a couple of exchanges next year, mostly based on strategic reasons as well. I mean, the first one's going to be Philippines because we're going to be targeting a lot of the user base on the ground in the Philippines itself, and the second one's going to be a Korean exchange. And the plan for that is to subsequently list on the tier one once we have sufficient traction on all these other exchange listings that we're planning out for the rest of the year, rest of next year.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I think that was quite a lot of updates there, Gene. There was a lot thrown at everyone, but do we want to jump into some of the questions? What's the next step?
Yeah, thanks for that, guys. In terms of the questions, it seems like we've gone through most of them. There are a few here. So let me just go through them. So the first one being, what is your stance on adding liquidity for IXS on Polygon?
I guess not the focus for us right now to add it on QuickSwap, but like what we mentioned, we are adding liquidity to the centralized exchanges instead. Something that
we also just dropped a bunch of liquidity on Uniswap, right?
Yeah. I mean, Uniswap now, I think we were at 500,000 liquidity. I'm not sure where we're at today, but there is sufficient liquidity on Uniswap right now on Ethereum.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, guys. And I guess the next question is, does IXSwap intend to list any of Red Swan's real estate products?
We caught up with Ed in Korea. We're asset agnostic, so if any assets want to launch on IXSwap and they're legitimate and it makes sense and they are structured properly and they're decent investments, then we'll list everyone. It was built for everyone. So the answer is yes, if they've got assets that make sense. They didn't mention that to me last time I was speaking to them. So if you know them, then ping them and tell them to call us.
Great. Okay. So I think we're boiling down to the last two questions here. I think the second to the last question is, will liquidity be added to the IXS platform so people can buy IXS token there rather than on QuickSwap or Uniswap?
I would say yes, but not right now. The preference would be for us to be adding the liquidity on ISwap itself, not so much on QuickSwap. If we were to add on Polygon.
All right, thanks, Aaron. And saving the best for last. So with a partnership with Coinbase, is KYC sharing part of the plan? And it would be great if we could port over all of Coinbase users into our KYC register and then mark it on their app itself. So it seems like it's a question and a statement.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll take that. So Coinbase is obviously huge for us. They have been under attack by the SEC for years. It looks like last week or 2 weeks ago, they took CZ out the back and they shot him in the head. And now they've paved the way for the American corporations to capture the value of crypto in America with the 11 ETFs coming down the pipeline, of which Coinbase is 10 of those ETFs custody businesses to Coinbase, and all the ETFs. So we're finally at a point where it looks like Gary Gensler will be gone soon. He's being attacked, bipartisan attack by US senators, that he needs to be removed. And so crypto can finally take off. The reason I tell that story is because we were hoping to do stuff with Coinbase years ago, but it was impossible for them to touch the STO RWA space because the regulators were telling them that all the crypto was already securities. So it would have just been way too confusing. So we're finally at a point where they're seeing some sunlight, their daylight on being able to run their business. And obviously that's very promising. So what's happened now is that we have and there's 15,000 institutions at Coinbase and 112 million wallets, retail wallets. So we're just at the first phase where we start to look at helping a lot of the institutional clients launch their real world asset tokens. And then I think once this is going to take time as well, then we look at what more we can do from there and how much leverage we can do to access a lot of those investors. So I think what will be the ultimate relationship will be us providing the back end, the licenses, the trading, the pools, the technology, the assets, and then the front end, partnerships with these big groups like Coinbase. Coinbase is just one. We've got 3 or 4 other exchanges that are having the same discussion, although they're not as advanced and they're not investors in our company yet. But essentially, the nature of the beast that crypto and security tokens won't trade side by side, at least at the beginning, will mean that there'll be partnerships to be had with all of these big crypto groups. So yeah, I mean, it's a good question, makes a lot of sense. Again, like it was only 2 or 3 months ago that crypto was in a massive bear market and the RWA narrative wasn't anywhere near what it is today, and then suddenly it's kind of exploded. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. Coinbase is the biggest player now globally that's at least regulated. If they do anything, it's heavy consideration, lots of planning. But there's the moves. I think ultimately one day these are the kind of groups that will be the strongest participants in the RWA space because they know what tokens are. They don't have to worry about it. But I think there's now more competition between banks and big crypto exchanges as they all start trying to find more interesting products. And the STO space is relevant for both of them, which is why we've been in it for so long. All the banks have started selling crypto. The next evolution is STOs, RWAs, which is actually easy for them to understand because they're historically only sold securities. And then the crypto guys who've been selling crypto this whole time also can see how big the RWA space is going to be and how they're going to get a part of it, how they're going to add these products to their user base, how they're going to make money selling and trading, and how they're going to do it legally and compliantly. And that is where very bullish for us. But yeah, long way to go there. It's all very, very positive, and we're the first groups at Coinbase. I think at least from a licensing perspective in the RWA space, I believe we're the first partners. I know we're the first partners at least out in Asia and I guess in Bahamas now with Swap. So very exciting, long way to go, but it's really big. So that's that.
All right, thanks, Julian. And I think someone just made it here barely with another last question. So this is the last one for the evening. The question is, how does InvestaX benefit from the partnership with Vayana?
Yeah, so that's another great partnership, and we've got quite a few more of them coming down the pipeline. So Vayana is one of the leading trade finance fintech companies in India, well, Southeast Asia as well. So we're basically, InvestX is a tokenization partner. So they've been lending money, or people could invest, if you will, and lend money to SMEs. And they're usually, I think, fairly short-term deals, 6, 12, 18 months. I think the deals I've seen are typically double-digit returns, so 10, 11, 12, 13% interest. So we're their tokenization partner. So we're going to be doing all of their products onto the blockchain rails with distribution, and then eventually into the IXSwap pool. So yeah, it's very exciting. There's a lot of these groups out there. It's not easy at all for any fintech platform, any platform, TradFi or crypto. Like, if you want to start adding a different asset class or a completely different way of issuing them, again, from a paper to tokens, there's a lot, it's a huge amount of work. So it's much easier and it's much better, if you will, for a lot of these companies to just come and partner with someone like us. And again, that's how I think Coinbase is thinking, and that's how I'm thinking Vayana's thinking. And, it would take them years to build what we built, because that's what it takes to build. So Vayana, there's a lot more coming down the pipeline. But yeah, that's how that works. And then you'll see that probably on both sides. You'll see these more and more of these K content companies that want to leverage IXSwap to issue tokenized, trade the K content, because that's what they do. They do Korean content, but they don't do anything that we do. So it's highly synergistic. So that's many more exciting partnerships coming down the pipeline for both platforms.
All right, thanks for that in-depth answer, Julian. I guess we're nearing to the end of the AMA. Is there any closing remarks that you guys want to give out to the community for listening in today?
Buy more IXS. That's my final. That's my final comment. Aaron, over to you. I guess we've lost Aaron. Yeah, well, we appreciate the support. So everyone stay tuned, stay on the channels. Let's keep it active. We've had a surge of new activity and a whole bunch of new users, but we're just getting started again after a pretty brutal, ugly bear market, but things are looking really promising.
All right, thanks,
Gene.
guys.
Thanks for hosting.
Julian.
Thanks, everyone.
Aaron. Yep, and before we end, I'd just like to ask anyone that's joining the Zeely Quest for tonight, the secret code is education is key. So stay tuned for announcements, because that's going to make a lot of sense in about 30 minutes. Thanks, guys.